Well, hello, welcome everyone back to another episode of the Faith and Pop Culture Podcast. I am your host, Daniel Blackaby, and I'm joined once again, as I always am, by the one, the only, Naya Carlson. How are you doing today, Naya?
I'm feeling well rested, Daniel. How are you?
I am feeling not quite as well rested. I will say I won't name names, but there is one co-host on this podcast that may have slept in to almost noon today, and one that did not sleep a whole lot. So we will maybe let the audience decide which of us is feeling very well
Just
rested,
put it in
fresh.
the comments who you think overslept.
um we're expecting some high energy from those of us that have had breakfast at lunchtime. But excited, there's a lot of stuff going on for us to get into. A lot of fun stuff too. I should mention too, we have some fun stuff coming up on the podcast in the next little bit, and we've already kind of pre-recorded some interviews with some interesting people. Got a few more coming up. So I know we like talking with each other and talking about pop culture, but it's always fun to bring someone else in. So excited. So stay tuned for some of that. But there's some interesting stuff. Are you ready for like a little controversy today, Naya?
Ooh, spicy.
Is that what would wake you up, get you going after your prolonged slumber?
Yes.
Because we are going to get into kind of the main thing we're going to talk about today is the newly released Michael movie, the biopic on the life and music of Michael Jackson. Because I think, as you might expect, if you know literally anything about Michael Jackson, the movie was not without some controversy, more for what was not in the movie than what was in the movie. I have seen the movie. Now, I don't believe have seen the
Mm-mm.
movie, but we can get into kind of some general questions just as far as kind of the age-old question of the artist and the art. Can you separate the two? And why I think that this actually is maybe a special case that doesn't quite fit that mold. So we
Mm-hmm.
will get into that. But before we get kind of to the main topic, I don't know. There's a couple of extra pop culture roundup of things that I've noticed that we could maybe touch on, and one of them is that you have what is, I think, sure to be one of your new favorite television shows on there. I know you've been eagerly asking, begging Hollywood to deliver such a show as this. So there is kind of a newly released announced show that's kind of been going a bit viral and some conversation on it, and that is Ring by Spring, a new
Wait, isn't it Ring by Spring Break? Is
oh,
that what it's called?
Ring by Spring Break. See, you are
I
on
already
it. See,
know.
oh, you are ready for this. So Ring by Spring Break, obviously a play on sort of the stereotypical. I know, having gone to like a Christian college, there was sort of that conversation. People that wanted to get engaged in the 4 years, more important for some of them than getting the actual degree. So this is a streaming kind of a reality TV dating show that will be releasing through Hulu. And I will just say this: if you've been waiting eagerly, as Naya has, for some like Christian reality TV, maybe temper your enthusiasm just a little bit. So here is sort of the official logline description of the show, and then we can hear
It's
why
so bad.
why Naya is so excited for this show. So it says this: that Ring by Spring Break is a quote bold dating series that drops single Christian college students into a steamy spring break in Cabo, where finding the one isn't a dream, it's a deadline. As faith battles temptations in paradise, will they leave engaged or graduate alone?
There's so many problems in this. So many problems in this log line.
I know it seems like every word you get to, like, you just sort of, you kind of add on to the pile of. Uh,
Yeah.
so I will say two things, and then I'll get your thoughts now. One, you can't judge a book by the cover. Like, I think, innocent until proven
This one
guilty.
you can.
But having said that, I'm gonna judge a book by its cover, because this just sounds absolutely horrendous to me. Like, um, for multiple reasons. But why do you think this is horrendous?
Well, look at just the language that's used. Steamy spring break. That should never be anything to describe Christians, especially single Christians. And faith battles temptation. You're literally putting yourself in a position to be tempted. and that's you should be running from temptation.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. I think if you're a Christian, you should know. You should be aware that temptations in paradise don't typically end well.
mm-mm.
If you want to turn to the book of Genesis, chapter 1 or 2, you will find that temptations in paradise is not maybe something that we want to recreate here on Earth in our own Eden in Cabo
Mm-mm.
Spring Break. So I don't know. I think this is going to be terrible. I've already seen, which makes me cringe almost more than the actual like description of the show. Like I've seen some different outlets and like Christian sites like really celebrating this as like finally
No.
we get a Christian reality TV show. And it's like even setting aside the fact of like what this show seems like it is, the phrase like finally we get Christian reality TV to me is one that should just never cross through anyone's mind. Like I don't like, were there many
No.
people that
And
that's
it's
thinking
like
one.
you're trying to manufacture your life in this way too, which I get. Like, people meet on dating apps who are like really strong Christians, blah blah blah, but this just it just seems way more controlling than that. And it's like you're putting your relationship above with other people above your relationship with God. And of course that should never happen.
Yeah, but like, why would you go on a dating site when you could, in fact, find your true love in a steamy spring break
Oh
in
my
Cabo?
gosh. Ugh,
Under
I
a
hate
deadline,
it.
no less. And the last thing I'll say on this, because I honestly I don't want to talk about it anymore, because I already hate it. Is just that I don't know. To me, and this is not I'm not casting stones of judgment on anyone. I in fact married someone who partakes dabbles a little bit in watching much reality TV. So to each their own. But like, to me, reality TV is like the ideal platonic form of everything that's bad about like modern entertainment. Like it very much is like I don't know, like it's the most like least edifying. I mean, that's general. I'm sure there are reality TV shows that are in fact very inspiring and stuff, but sort of the stereotype kind of poster child of all that is just I don't know. It's just like a cheapening. Like to me, that's where we a lot of the like. It's not really entertainment. It's content. It's just
It's
stuff to
not even
consume. Like
yeah.
that's like for me, reality TV is that. Like this is the pure junk food. Like you just you know it's bad. You know it's garbage, but you just sort of watch it because it kind of somewhere in you it gives you some sort of enjoyment or pleasure. And I don't know, maybe there's a way to do Christian reality TV, but to me like even beyond anything like just the very concept of this show like just such like a cheapening of relationships. And like again, I don't know who's making this show. Like I don't it doesn't seem like this is like necessarily this is more to me like the secret lives of Mormon wives or whatever,
Mhm.
like more like kind of using religion as a topic because it's sort of makes it edgy rather than a sincere like we want to tell stories of Christians because we're Christians. So
Mhm.
I don't know, I haven't looked into it enough and I probably won't because I'll wait for you to do the official Collision review on this TV show. But one thing that I think is inspiring, that I find quite amazing, kind of one other pop culture thing I wanted to mention, and then we can get into our conversation on the Michael movie, is I don't know if you saw, we were actually off air, we were talking about running. We both run various races. Actually, I literally can't stand up from my chair because I just ran a down mountain 10K that I did not train for with my kid. And now I can't go upstairs. So, love running. But there was a record set. I don't know if you follow this at all. A man, Sebastian Swa. I don't know if I'm saying that right.
Saw maybe?
Sawe,
Yeah.
from Kenya. I don't. Anyways, Sebastian, uh, SS as we call him.
Yes. Oh
He.
no, we don't call him that.
Okay, backtrack. We'll call him
Sebastian.
Sebastian. That will do. Uh, so he became at the London Marathon that just happened last week. He became the first person ever in the history of people on this earth in an official like timed race to break the 2 hour barrier. So he set the record in 1 hour, 59 minutes,
That's
and 30
so impressive.
seconds, which is, if you've, I mean, I think for anyone that's impressive. If you've ever tried to run a marathon and you realize that speed, that is mind-blowingly ridiculous. I've done. I don't think you've ever done a marathon. You've
Mm-mm.
done half. You've done a half marathon, right?
No,
No,
I
just
just a
okay.
10K.
So I've done. I haven't done one for a couple of years. I've done 9 marathons, and like I remember, like this is the dedication to like to try and get it under like 4 hours, and
Mm-hmm.
like how fast you feel like going like 9 minute miles for a marathon. Like this is like 4.5 minute miles. The crazy thing is like no one had ever done it, and the second place finisher also broke the 2 hour barrier.
Crazy.
And in fact, the third place finisher just missed breaking it. But they did the top three all broke the record like the
Are
previous
they all
time.
Kenyan? Were they all Kenyan?
I don't know if they're all. I don't look into the other two. But like three guys breaking the like imagine that like feeling like
Yeah.
it's like whatever the other astronaut was other than that went to the moon, the other guy that we
Yeah.
all forget. Like, it's like I broke the the impossible thing, and I got a silver medal. And the Faith and Pop Culture podcast didn't even mention our name or where I'm from. Which is, I don't know, it's just crazy to me. I think me and my wife were talking about this again, this because I love running, and I'm so impressed by people that can do this. But the part that blows my mind is it's just crazy that there's still records being broken.
Mm-hmm. I
I,
know.
I I always think that at like the Olympics, where it's like every year, it's like it seems like every race there's a new Olympic record, a world record, and it's like at some point, like we got to reach the plateau of like, okay, humans cannot go faster than this.
Mm-hmm.
And yet it's like after all these years, there's still, and I know like a lot of the conversation, this is like running nerdery stuff, but like for this is sort of the so-called super shoes and like the technology, like they all wore the same shoe. The
Mm.
three guys that finished, and I get Adidas, their kind of new technology and like shoes that weigh less than an apple. Like it's this crazy stuff that I would love to try out one day. So there is some of that of just like technology, but I think there's also just like the human spirit of like once you sort of have a bar and you move that, then then now that's gonna like it wouldn't surprise me if like more and more people now started breaking the 2 hour,
Mm-hmm.
and it became more standard, and then who knows what the next barrier will be.
Yeah.
But have you ever aspired to run a sub 2 hour marathon? Is that
I've
on
never
your?
aspired to run a marathon.
But are you inspired by our friend Sebastian to push yourself and glory to finish a full marathon?
No. I'm inspired by him to run, but not to run a marathon. But that's really cool. Good job,
Yeah.
Sebastian. My brother's gonna be inspired to run it, though, I can tell you that for sure.
And I don't know. For me, like I like these. I don't know anything about this guy other than he's obviously like a very fast runner.
Yeah,
But I'm
yeah.
always it's the same reason I love the Olympics. Like I think there's especially now, like maybe even more than ever. I feel like the emphasis is always just on like how bad humans are. Like we're just destroying the environment. We're
Mhm.
divided. We hate people. We hate each other. We hate ourselves. Like it's just everything's bad about being human. And like I don't know. I like just reminders of like humans doing cool things that are awesome and inspiring and
Yeah.
like pushing the limits. So I don't know. I'm excited, or I was inspired to go. Although I'm too sore right now to go be inspired. But next week I will be inspired again
To
to
run
go.
a sub
Uh,
2 hour marathon.
I don't know. I don't know if there's anything. Did you come across anything on pop culture or anything that stood out to you, or do you want to just jump right into?
Let's jump right into Michael.
So this is again, like I said, this is there's a lot here. I think there's gonna be a lot of good stuff for us to get into because I think it touches on um some like very I don't know evergreen issues of just these types of issues of you have
Mhm.
a because again if you know anything about Michael Jackson, like one of the biggest most successful entertainers, musicians, songwriters, pop star, the king of pop, as he is called, uh definitely like the Taylor Swift before there was a Taylor Swift, like he there's so much that he did, and his music's great. Like I said in my review of the movie, like I'm not necessarily like a big Michael Jackson guy. Like, it's not like I'm just constantly listening to his music. But I feel like everyone likes Michael Jackson music.
Mhm.
Like it's like he has so
Yeah.
many great songs. Like he's not. Like, everyone's sort of like even if either you're a big fan or you're just like yeah it's cool. I like when it comes on.
But you all know his music. Everyone knows his music. And
Yeah,
that's crazy.
and there's so many of
Yeah.
like even in the movie it's like, "Oh yeah, he wrote that song too. Oh yeah, that song."
Yeah.
Like that's then you realize like all the ones that didn't even make it in the movie. But if you know much about Michael Jackson, you also know like there are some at least alleged skeletons in this guy's closet. This guy I don't know. He's a very complicated individual. Some like very serious allegations put toward
Mhm.
him. I think some concerning, like convincing evidence that at least some of these allegations are grounded in some a bit of truth. We will say, or I should say, like as far as I've been able to tell, and I've through the research stuff, like he has never formally been like convicted of
Mm-mm.
anything. So like there is a sense that like until that happens, and it is sort of I don't know, it is allegations, not necessarily proof. Um, but I mean, there's some stuff like there's some messed up stuff. Like even there are interviews of of like him like publicly talking about like having young boys over for sleepovers at his Neverland Ranch and sleeping in the same bed with them. You know, just him
Mhm.
in there while the parents are in the other room. And like I don't know, like there's some messed up stuff, which like because of all that, the idea of making a movie on him became kind of this I don't know, like this there was questions of like, so how do you deal with that? Like how do you
Mhm.
deal with
You
the
don't.
celeb Yeah, you don't. As we'll see, the way you deal with it is by
Yeah.
you just like, hey, look over there, and then you run the other way.
Yeah.
You just you don't deal with it. But so like will they address some of that? Like, do we want to be celebrating a guy that you know is maybe not worthy of being celebrated? So wanted to get into some of that. We'll say the movie itself. Um, it's interesting because like it as we'll get into, like it does just sort of gloss over all of the
Mhm.
anything resembling potential to be controversial. It just sort of skips over. Um, and like it was panned by critics. Like on Rotten Tomatoes, the critic score for whatever that's worth is 38%. So it was not well received, but it has a 97% from the audience score. Which I think
That's
is
a wild gap.
which is a
That's
huge gap,
insane.
and I think totally not unexpected because I think
Mhm.
very much. I think the critics are the ones being like, "Hey, this story, there's some issues." Like it's very much sort of this like puff piece for Michael Jackson, and like there's some issues, and and like the audience is like, "Oh yeah, I love that song! Like this is so fun!
Yeah.
Like this is what I want to go." And I don't go to Michael Jackson movie to to see how bad he was. I want to hear his music and see him play, and like so like, it doesn't surprise me at all that there was such a gap. And like the movie itself is absolutely crushing it because it's as of now recording the opening weekend was $217 million, which is a
Jeez.
new record for a musical biopic, passing the Bohemian Rhapsody Queen biopic from whatever that was, like 2 or 3 years ago. It also
That was
passed.
a lot longer than 2 or 3 years ago.
Was it that long ago?
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
um,
that's not important.
yeah.
Continue.
Okay, from
I'll look it
the last decade or few.
It was
Uh,
2018.
my goodness,
I
wow.
know. Yeah.
Time flies when you're listening to some Queen music. But it also passed Oppenheimer, which came out now I've lost
That
my
was a
confidence.
couple
2 years
years
ago,
ago.
I think 2 years
Let's
ago, right?
see.
Um,
23, so 3 years ago.
okay, 3 years ago. I just
Yeah.
forget trying to give days. As like the most successful opening for like any biopic kind of movie of all time. Not just this movie did well and people seem to like it, like smash hit. I think it's going to continue. Word of mouth, I think, is good. People are going to keep going.
Mhm.
Like, I went to see it in the like on like an early showing to it, and like the people around me definitely had Michael Jackson on their playlist at home because like they were they were enjoying this movie. So before we get into some of the like I don't know like our takes and sort of like what do Christians do with this, maybe we can kind of unpack a little bit of just sort of the conversation around it. I don't know, Naya, if you wanted to give some of this, or if you want me to sort of unpack a bit of,
The, like
um,
yeah, like, the issues of even just getting this movie
yeah, like some of the
published.
like that, like yeah, like these questions were very much like front and center, even in like the production of
Yeah.
this film.
Yeah. Well, it looks like it was, they had to reshoot a lot of it, so I think it came out, like, a year after it was supposed to, but they're originally going to deal with the allegations, but there was an NDA that was discovered with one of the accusers that, prevented him from being named in any movie, so they had to rework the whole script to avoid the allegations, and so the made the film go from what's it, one or go up to $200 million in the budget. So it made it one of the most expensive biopics. And the director Fuqua says all movies have different challenges, but this one was unique, saying that the team got around the issue of these allegations by just refocusing on Michael Jackson's like musical career and all of that.
Which I will
Those
say,
nuances.
which I will say before we get into some other backlash, like I just don't buy that. Like I don't not I was not there for the production of this movie. Like I don't I don't necessarily disagree or like have any reason to believe that there wasn't reshoots done. Obviously, that seemed like it happened that they had to rework with this. But like, if you see this movie, this does not seem like a movie that was ever going to seriously address serious things about Michael. Like, and just
Yeah.
had to shift course in the third act, and not,
No.
like this is very this is very much like almost like I say in my review, and I've seen some other people, other reviews sort of touch on that too. Like it almost comes across like the opposite. Like this is like a direct pushback against that narrative. Like
Mhm.
this is gonna pump him up, and like the only way it ever sort of does touch on some of the like the issues like with him and children and that relationship and stuff. Like, it presents it very much in like the most positive light possible as like this saintly,
Yeah.
savior figure for these kids, and like so I don't know. Who am I to say to call into question the director's words and stuff? But I am skeptical. I think they were probably thrilled that they
That they
did not
found the
have to
NDA.
that
I
they
think yeah, I
there's like, oh,
agree.
well, now we have an excuse to not do what we really didn't want to do and we didn't know how to do. Um, the only other thing we'll say, and then we will start to unpack this, and we don't need to get through all of these things, but
There's a lot, yeah.
because there's a lot, so we don't need to unpack all of it. But because there was like a famous documentary that came out at
Mhm.
some time in the past that I won't pretend to know when it came out. I know that the sequel came out recently. They had like, a second documentary called Leaving Neverland, which was about these allegations and focused on. Like, it kind of
Yeah.
brought, I think, for a lot of people. I think some of them had obviously been like around and circling, and this the documentary sort of made it more public of
Yeah.
like you sort of see that's when a lot of people began to like, okay, maybe this guy wrote some good songs, but like he may have been a total monster like
Yeah.
behind
He said
the
he's,
scene.
like, worse than Epstein, I think, the director of Leaving Neverland.
Yeah, so the director Dan Reed came out kind of before the release of this
Mhm.
movie and essentially blasted the movie, like just saying like,
Yeah.
what are
He's
we
the
doing?
biggest critic for sure.
Like very much, which I guess you would obviously you would expect, but I think just raising the issues of like this is a guy that did in his mind like horrific things behind the scenes. Like, how can you tell his story without addressing any of that, or like why would you want to tell his story and like kind
Mhm.
of elevate him as like this like I saw, I think I forget what the outlet was. One of the big outlets I think referred to this as like the Passion of Saint Michael. Like it very much is presented as a saintly figure, and um, so I mean there's sort of back and forth between the director of the documentary and the director of the movie. So this question is very much in sort of the public eye, which I think for again for this podcast and for us like that is a valid question. Like,
Mhm.
what do we do as Christians for things like this? Like, how much do we, I don't know, like, how much can we separate the artist from the art? Like,
Yeah.
should we enjoy, because like, I think you see Christians that go very far one way of like, even if it's like not bad or like problematic art, just if they're not a Christian, it's like, well, we
Mhm.
shouldn't, we shouldn't even enjoy, we
Yeah.
should only enjoy art if they're Christians and they are very much like a
Mhm.
line. And that's how we determine what good music is and good books and movies and stuff. Like, and then you have sort of the other side of it that's like, you know what, like art's art. Like, a lot of artists were messed up people, but doesn't mean we can't appreciate their art. Maybe to get us started, like, how have you sort of thought about this issue? Because I got some thoughts on this one, but like sort of that whole question of sort of the art and the artist, and like like are you ever bothered by? Does that ever come into your like consideration, or do you pretty much sort of separate those two?
In general, I'll separate it. There's definitely a few times where I've been, like, either felt guilty for watching a movie or just been, like, more cautious about doing it. But it is a when you sit down and think about it, it is a pretty complicated question, and I think, like, it really depends on you as an individual and what your convictions are when it comes to that, and also who the artist is and what the art is. So there's so many, like, base questions that you have to answer before even getting to, can you separate art from the artist, or can you separate this artist from their art? You know, like, if it's a sexual offender who's singing a song that's just hurling insults and vulgarities the whole time, I mean, you probably shouldn't be listening to that anyways, but I feel like in that case, that feels very, like, I always say, like, what is the art? Is it edifying? Is it good? Is it good, true, and beautiful? And I think in those instances, it's easier to separate the art from the artist, and still, like, they should be punished for their crimes, if that's what we're talking about, if they've committed a crime. But that doesn't mean that the art that they created should be punished, you know?
Yeah, because I think, I mean, because I feel like this movie is a bit of a different case, which I'll explain why. But like, I think in general, I'm mostly with you. Like, I think I try and, I mean, I've always like, I think as if you've engaged with art at all, or watch movies and stuff, it's very clear, like, so-called good people can make very bad art,
Mhm.
and like so-called bad people can make very good art.
Mhm.
Like a lot of great God-fearing Christians have made this atrocious art that should not be celebrated, no matter how godly and inspiring and admirable that person is. There's also been some like total scumbag, you know, Hollywood people that, or painters, or whatever, that have, some of these guys like that have made brilliant art. And I think there
Mhm.
is a sense that okay, I can affirm the art as its own thing
Mhm.
without necessarily, like, to enjoy a painting is not the same thing as like affirming every
Yeah.
personal choice that the artist ever committed. And there is sort of an icky, so I think it's maybe a different, not necessarily art necessarily, but I know you sort of have this issue when like a Christian celebrity or leader like has a moral failing. Like I know I was like a big Ravi Zacharias. Like I really
Mm.
admired the apologist. Like admired his work and just his whole demeanor and like his writing, his arguments. Like I was very much a fan of his work. And then like after his death, it comes out that like he was abusing and there are all these things that went on uh, that no one knew about. And there is sort of that question of like, hey, well, like the stuff that spoke to me before I knew that, like this book, his writing and his stuff, that hasn't changed,
Yeah.
but I feel differently about it knowing that.
Mhm.
And like, what do I do with that? And it even it reminds me a bit of which was before you were here, I think, on the Collision, but like when the Flash, the DC
Mhm.
comic movie, because Ezra Miller, like the actor who plays the Flash, is his own complicated, kind of controversial person, and like I know a lot of Christians, and we even published a guest article on the Collision with someone wrestling with that question as far as like, should Christians support the movie because that's sort of supporting him, and we don't want to support that.
Mhm.
And I get that. Like I fell on the side of like, well, like the Flash did not do anything like that. Like
Yeah.
this is his art, and that's different. Where I
And
think this,
there's
yeah,
also, like, a team of people behind that movie too that you'd be punishing if you didn't watch it. You know, it's not just Ezra Miller that has to gain or lose from how well this movie does. It's also all of the technical workers that are behind the film too, who might be like the best people ever, and you don't know.
yeah, yeah. I mean, there's like thousands of people that worked on a movie like that, and like a lot of them, and I mean, a lot of them we just don't know. Like
Mhm.
I think I never want to get to the place where it's like, okay, I got to start like researching, every actor's personal life before I can watch a movie that
Mhm.
they, were a star in. What I think makes this Michael movie a little different is that like, it's not really the artist and the art that's the separation. Like, we're not we're not trying to say, can you enjoy, Billie Jean or something like,
Mhm.
like, can you enjoy Thriller and also, acknowledge Michael stuff like that's to me that's a different question. And the answer is, yeah, I think you can still enjoy the
Mhm.
music even if the artist is not a person you should affirm. Like the Michael movie is different because like what you're separating is like the movie is about like the art is about the artist. Like the whole
Mhm.
thing is affirming him. Like the whole point of the movie is to celebrate the life of the artist. obviously mostly through the lens of his music and his art.
Mhm.
But to I don't know, to watch the movie is like a celebration of a person, which is very different than I think just sort of acknowledging like, well, he made
Yeah.
good art. Like, I don't know. I know you haven't seen the movie, but like, does that make
Mhm.
sense? Like the
Yeah.
why that I don't know. That I think that's what makes this movie like particularly complicated.
Well, even like for the Bob Dylan movie with Timothy, it's like he wasn't the nicest person, and they showed that. He was mean to his and kind of just not a good like partner to his girlfriends, and he was just kind of selfish in how he treated other musicians and like how he um viewed the crowd and his fans. And he's still like the best lyricist that America has ever had. Like as you can tell, I love Bob Dylan, but he's not like that movie. I think kind of showed more of the side that you don't want to see. But yeah, even though I haven't seen Michael, from what you said, it just sounds like the whole time it's like, oh, let's dance together. But there's also like the question of like, I think for movies it's different but for like music or something like that, by listening to this song, like your money is going to that artist. I think there's generally less people who work on a song, and so there's a higher chance that I don't know. It's just such an interesting question. Like, do we need to worry where our money is going when we buy a CD and stuff like that? But it's also the mindset of like once art is out in the world, the audience has like their experience of it changes it every single time. It's like, how do you agree with that? Do you think that art is just too connected to the artist that you can't celebrate it without celebrating the artist? There's so many questions with this
Yeah, because it makes you even
question.
think of I feel like how closely it gets connected
Yeah.
is what makes it. Because like I think of even like Bill Cosby. Like I'm a big
Mhm.
Bill Cosby guy. Grew up watching Bill Cosby. I saw Bill Cosby live comedy show,
Wow.
and he was hilarious and it was
Huh.
funny and then it's like, well, then as time goes on, you realize, okay, well, maybe maybe we shouldn't
Yeah.
be supporting or excited about Bill Cosby. And like it is sort of one of those things too. Like even like the Cosby Show, it's like, okay, well, like the show was enjoyable and it was funny and wholesome, and that hasn't changed. But like the character he plays is so closely connected to the persona, and if the
Mhm.
persona changes, it's just impossible to see that through like without being kind of icked out because he's playing someone that's very much
Mhm.
different, which is it's kind of like the Michael thing. And I will say, um I don't know, like I think I get that like there's a very big difference between a crowd pleasing musical for a famous and successful artist and like a very serious drama that deconstructs our hero and shows all the horrible things about him. Like I don't think that movie was ever going to be made. Like
Mhm.
I don't think there's a world when really with any artist, any beloved artist, where a movie like that, especially when the estate is itself involved in the
Yeah.
production and his nephew is playing Michael in the role. And I did think like in one sense I'm okay with that. Like I don't need Hollywood to just sort of deconstruct all of our heroes. Like that's sort of been the trend of like I don't know, I don't necessarily need like the entertainment movie to just be a drama that shows me how bad someone that
Yeah, we
artist is. Like
already have the documentary to do that,
yeah.
know?
So like so there is a sense that like I get it and I'm fine with it. Like I'm fine with sort of just celebrating. I just also think Christians should be careful with sort of how I don't know, I think there should be some self-evaluation and reflection on like just like what we excuse or like how we elevate people and like look past stuff that we I think very clearly wouldn't, we would condemn were
Mhm.
they not super famous. Like
Mhm.
were just someone in our church to do that, we would not be okay with it. But it's like, well,
Mhm.
it's because even like my wife was saying, like some of her students and stuff, they were talking about this, and there's this sort of the sentiment of like, yeah, but like it's Michael. Like, yeah, like it was bad. He probably sexually abused some kids, but I don't know. He's Michael. Like we all love Michael, and it's like
I know.
like, I don't know. I just think the Bible does speak pretty clear. It doesn't tell us necessarily how to navigate this issue or like
Mhm.
approach entertainment directly, but like it does talk a lot about not just being seduced and like by fame and glamour and the outside and like where we just sort of overlook the character. Like I don't know. Like what do you think? Like where not that again, we're not going to give a definitive answer because I don't think there is one. Like
Yeah.
I think there is that is sort of a you wrestle with it and like I don't think you're going to lose your soul and
Mhm.
salvation if you go and love this movie and enjoy the music. I just think we should it's not wrong to also have the conversation of like, okay, like, are we actually affirming things or overlooking things purely on the basis of
Mhm.
they were talented and rich and famous,
Mhm.
and so we're okay with stuff that we wouldn't be because like, I don't know, that is bad.
Yeah. It's also like, does this director, like, is it like, what's his responsibility in telling this story? Like, is he allowed to kind of just want to make a movie celebrating this music? Is he allowed to do that? Or does everything have to be, this is what happened, and this is why he's terrible, and blah, blah, blah? Like, I don't know. I think that we should be allowed to have a movie that celebrates the music. And also, like, he hasn't been, um all of the cases have either been, acquitted or settled or just simply dismissed. So, we'd also don't have the facts, like, that he actually did this, even though it really points to he probably did. You know? It's a question, I think, of the amount of fidelity that is required in art that adapts other stories or adapts real life. And I don't think there's a clear answer.
Yeah, because I think I mean, like in one sense, like all of these, even the more honest like biopic type movies, like they're all Hollywood fantasy. Like they're all Hollywoodized, and like even the ones that stick close, even the ones that we like the Christian ones, like like they're not reality. Like it is
Mhm.
a depiction, it's a perspective, usually a very like filtered and like manufactured and intentional. It's like an Instagram post. Like
Yeah.
it's like it's real, but it's sort of the real that we want you to think is real. Um, so I think there is sort of the sense that yeah, that's whatever. It's Hollywood. We're seeing a even though it's about a real person, we're seeing a story. We're seeing a
Mhm.
story. For me, it's just like against the backdrop though of sort of the culture of, like it's even I mean, just like the overlooking stuff because of the like I feel like that's such like a reckoning moment for our culture right now as far as just, like the I mean, that was like the Weinstein stuff. That was a lot of these people where he was like, well, like we sort of all know these like open secrets that go on like in Hollywood and just in our culture and in businesses but like they're rich, they're famous, like we don't want to shake the boat, like whatever. Like it's not everyone, no one's perfect. Like that to me, that's where I'm like making a movie like this with all these things going around and framing it so like over the top, like this guy was like a saint. Like
Mhm.
he was basically perfect. And like
Mhm.
the only sort of issues in his life were that like the world around him just didn't fully understand his greatness. And like it's like I don't know. Like I don't think like I think there's a version to tell maybe that I don't know. I don't maybe there isn't a version to tell that like is sort of that crowd pleaser entertainment while also not feeling like it sort of sugarcoats and like
Mhm.
sort of elevates someone based on their talent and their fame and
Mhm.
like just totally excuses. So I don't know. I think the good that comes out of it is I think, you know, the movie is the movie. People will watch it, people enjoy it, people move on. I don't necessarily think that's like gonna change things or
Mhm.
encourage horrible behavior. I do think the good is like it has sparked some of these conversations and like the crazy thing, which I found in my research too, is like whenever one of these allegations came out against Michael Jackson, like his sales of his music spiked, which is just crazy.
That's
Like
insane.
it's like not only did it like I think like with the Finding Neverland documentary and like not only did it like not encourage people to like, okay, you know what, like he's great, I like his music, but there's other artists and I just can't like it's like Oh yeah, he's awesome. Yeah, you see a story about his allegations, like I forgot about him. I need to go back and listen to him, and I just buy
Yeah.
his album, and so so I don't. I'm sure his music's gonna just skyrocket again with the
Yeah.
with this movie, like because he's back in the public, and very much in a positive depiction. So I don't know. I don't think there's an easy answer, which is always frustrating for these kind of conversations. I just think this is one of those cultural things as Christians that I still have the conversation, still ask the questions, even if there's not. And I think ultimately it does come down to like I don't know, a conviction but if nothing else, even if you enjoy the movie, I think it's a moment to reflect and it's like, what do do I treat people different? Kind of like I think of like Samuel 16, the Lord does not look at the things people look at. People look at outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart. Like that's a verse just to sort of in this and in anything else, like just keep kind of in front of you as far as like, am I sort of just looking at the outward and ignoring, like people, or am I actually seeing kind of more from God's perspective? So I
Mhm.
don't know. Well, curious if anyone, listening to this podcast, if you do go see the movie, either if you're like a big fan of Michael Jackson or you're not, or if you like think that Christians should just celebrate his music, or if you're like like the director of the documentary and like just horrified that we're celebrating this man. Like either way, be respectful, but let us know in the comment section sort of how what you took away from watching this movie. But one thing I know we can celebrate and we should elevate, despite all the controversies that often swirl around this figure, is the final segment of this episode, which is things we like that you should like too. So Naya, this is your week to share. We've already touched on, hinted towards your joy and love for sleeping in till the late hours of the day. But beyond long slumbers, what else do you like that other people should like too?
Bear with me. Strawberries. I love strawberries. I keep going to the store and they're so expensive, but I get them anyways, and then I just eat them. I have to make them last the week, but they're so delicious and so good. Put some Nutella on them.
Oh, on
Delicious.
Nutella on fruit?
Yes, it's a chocolate strawberry, Daniel. That's all that
Nutella's
it is.
Nutella's not really chocolate though. It's
It is
different.
chocolate.
It's like wet chocolate.
It's hazelnut.
Oh, speaking of like
So good.
moral monsters,
You just don't like anything good.
Nutella.
Mm,
I was waiting for the more when you said strawberries. Like, there's got to be more to this.
no, it's
And
just
now that I know
strawberries.
the more, it's like the Michael Jackson movie. I wish we could just sort of scrub out that extra stuff and just focus on the on the part we can all agree on. Although I will say, I'm with you. I do like myself a good strawberry, a nice juicy strawberry. I think it is an objective fact though that like one of the bizarre mysteries of the world is why like, a strawberry itself tastes so good, but like strawberry flavor never satisfies. Like,
I like strawberry flavor too, but a regular strawberry is definitely
yeah,
better.
if there are other like raspberry, like a raspberry is awesome. If there's a raspberry flavor, something is going to be awesome too. Or like
Mm.
peach flavor or something like. I don't know. Like I would never pick like a strawberry drink or something.
I love strawberry drinks.
Well,
I used to get strawberry milk from school. It was so good. It's so fake, but it's so good.
yeah. This drink contains 0% strawberry.
Exactly.
But it does
it's
have
pink.
and if it's pink, then it
Yeah.
must be strawberry. I will say banana artificial flavoring is definitely peak fruit artificial
Oh
flavoring.
my
You
gosh.
can't go wrong with banana flavored
What
anything.
about watermelon?
Yeah, I feel like watermelon's overdone these days. Everything has
Banana?
watermelon. Oh, banana.
Weird. Okay.
Yeah, I encourage everyone. Dunkin' Donuts has banana cold foam right now.
Oh, that
So
sounds good, actually.
this is not my week to share something that I should like, that you should like, but if it were, I would share about Dunkin' Donuts mango banana daydream refresher with banana cold foam. So go check that out. But we are glad that you also checked out this podcast. Excited for you guys to always. Appreciate you guys tuning in every week. Join us as we dig into pop culture. Hope you will join us again next week, every Thursday, for more conversations on faith and pop culture.